Hello, hello.
Yes, sir. We are live now. Good afternoon, sir.
હા, તમારો કોઈનો અવાજ આવશે નહીં ને આમાં સ્ટ્રીમિંગ છે. So, good morning, students. So, I think this might be your first or second session in the field of the research coursework. So, basically, I've selected the topic that how you can use the AI in finding the research problem. So, now everybody is using the AI, but we'll be just finding the AI that how it can be utilized for the research problem. So, we'll be just going in a basically three part of that. So, we are starting with this first part right now only. So most of the PhD students, when they are joining the dissertation of the PhD, they are having the quite enthusiasm. And you all know that you pass the basic examination, and after getting the examination, you call for the synopsis presentation. And by meeting your guide or by any other mode, you created your proposal. And based upon your proposal, you got the admission in the PhD. In most of the case, what is happening that immediately after getting the admissions, students are trying to follow the synopsis, whatever they have submitted, and they're just going for the slight modification. And if you are going in a similar way, after working for 2 3 semesters, in many cases you will find out that whatever the problem you identified initially, that was supposed to be a very weak problem, it was vague and even it is not having the unfocused questions. Whatever the project you design, in that suppose you're going for the presentation somewhere else, then always you are getting the comment that there is no sufficient novelty. When you are just submitting your presentation with some kind of the reviewer, many times reviewer will also tell that this is a repetitive task and duplicating studies are already existing. And even whatever the tools or whatever the method you utilize, that is also asked for so many times. So this create a massive kind of the setback for the PhD students that after working for so many months or so many days, they are finding such kind of the problems at the end. So that is the reason that first of all you have to just go for the finding the problem before starting the actual real research work of the PhD. So first of all you should understand that what the problem is, and after that you should understand that what it is not. So first thing is that the problem is not the topic, or it is understanding the distinction. So one of the most primitive or the misconduct is that always you are finding that whatever the topic is there, that is the only problem. We'll just take a simple example that for example you are working on a broad topic like the cancer biology or the plant cells stress response, or in the case of the chemistry or computer you will have something else on. So that would be a broad topic, but when we are coming to the problem would be specific in nature. So that would be something like this on that why do HER2 positive breast cancer patient with the BRCA1 mutation shows the differential chemotherapy response. So when you are coming to such kind of these specific problems, now if you are comparing, then you can find out that to write this problem, you need the background information of your topic. You need that what the things are going inside that problem, and after that you have to find out that what would be the solution for that. And according to that only you are just defining the problem. So this is the first step, that how you can just define the specific problem. Now, when we are just entering in the era of the AI, the working with the literature review and other things, that becomes quite easy. So basically in this lecture and even in the next lecture, we'll be just learning that how AI can be augmented in your research work and how it can be utilized for the drafting the entire story. So first of all, suppose we are going for the problem selection. Suppose we are taking the manual approach, so that already we have discussed earlier that normally you are just going as per the supervisor direction. You will be just getting the topic based upon the lab work which you are just focusing. After that, you will be just going for the manual literature search. You will be read around 20 to 30 papers. You will take some kind of the notes, identify the patterns, and you will find out some of the gap. And from that, you can just find out the proposal and write. So that is a conventional method in which normally the manual intervention is done. Now, suppose you're coming to the life science currently, then you can see that in the life science only, now we are having around more than 3.5 million of the active research papers. This number of the research papers are even quite higher in the case of the chemical science, and even up to certain extent moderate in the field of the computer science and other. Daily, you can have around more than 8,000 new daily publications are coming. And typically in the COVID-19 pandemic era, every day 200 new publications will be coming out. So when you are just checking the entire quantum of the active research papers which are generated in the scientific research community, it will become quite difficult to keep your pace with the manual method for understanding the entire pattern and even find out the difficulties with this that will lead to the confusion. And that is the reason that you have to go for some kind of the method by which you can increase your capacity to learn from all this scientific literature, whatever is available. So why AI enter in the problem discovery stage? So this AI can be utilized at a problem discovery stage in the 4 different part only. The first part is that will detect the pattern. So it will identify that what is the theme, what are the current methodological approach people are using, and that will also find out the conceptual framework across the thousands of the papers simultaneously. So suppose you are doing the pattern analysis at your own, it will take a longer time. But instead of that, again, at the end, we'll have the exercise. You will find out that with the help of the AI, pattern detection will become very common. Then the second part, similar to that would be the trend analysis and even the conflict identification and the gap validation. So if you're finding a very good research paper, then always you can find out that at the end, they're writing the 2 major sections. One, what kind of the future research can be done? And second, they'll be writing also the limitation of the study. So if you are reading so many papers and after that you are finding the limitation of all the papers and the future work which is suggested by all the author, and depending upon that you are matching the current trend, whatever the pattern is there, then that will just create an entire problem solving approach quite easy. And you can use AI to find out the thousands of the paper with this method only. So that is one example you can find out. So we'll just take the real life example, that unnoticed gene cluster. So suppose you are going for the AI analysis of the cancer genomic literature, that will reveal that the specific gene cluster appears repeatedly in the patient sample, but that is not systematically excluded from the functional studies of the research. So that will focus about the individual gene rather than the collective behavior. So these are the data which you are getting when you are just going through the multiple data together on. So that way you can find out. Even you can just have the hidden cancer subtype. So suppose you are going for some kind of the clustering method, then even you can find out some subtypes. So that we'll see in the next lecture on. Now, when you are just going for the AI as a research compass, that will show the direction. So first part is that mapping of the research density will be done. Then after that, you have to identify the unexplored path, and then you have to validate the direction. So this is a way by which you can just use the AI. Now, AI cannot be due to understand the limitation. So each paper is writing the limitation. So you can find out the limitation from that, but the AI cannot give the solution to overcome that limitation. So don't get the suggestion that whatever the AI is telling, all the things are not proved. So whatever the understanding of the limitation is there, for searching that you can utilize, but you cannot define the biological method, or you cannot determine the research importance, or you cannot replace the domain knowledge with the help of the AI. So that are the few things that you have to just take whenever you are going through. Now, when we are just going for the human plus AI, and that will become a collaborative research intelligence. So you have to go for the AI contribution, and at the same time, you have to also go for the human interpretation also. So you have to evaluate the biological pulsability. Same way in the chemical science, you have to find out that what is the practical importance and what is the integrated conceptual knowledge of all of this. And that will lead to the entire part of this. So that also will be doing in the same way. So basically, this would be having the problem discovery versus the problem solving. So this today's lecture is basically focusing on the problem discovery. In the next lecture, we'll be going for the problem solving. So now we are just going for the slightly easy understanding mode of that. That suppose you want to do the research, then how the research can be done. So I think you must have seen the Swades movie. So we'll be just taking the Swades movie as an example, that how you can just correlate your research journey with the concept of the Swades in your proposal writing, in your story, and then give you the vision, dedication, and that will also create the impact of the research. So the first part is that, so the introduction. So research proposal is a mission for the change. So normally you see in this movie also that Mohan is coming from the NASA, and after coming over here only he find out the real world challenge in the rural India. And he has taken up that thing that this kind of the problem in the village that should be changed. Similarly, whenever you are joining the PhD, you have to just search in the society, you have to find out a research problem, and you have to find out a structured plan, and you have to execute a research problem in such a way that at the end of the research problem, at the end of your research work, at least some portion of the research problem should be solved, right? So like Mohan has used all the knowledge that how the electricity can be bring to the village. Researchers also go for the critical thinking and systematic planning, and from that only you have to find out the meaningful proposal. And similarly, you have to develop the key momentum, that in the Swades you can find out that strategic planning was done, persistence was done, and after that scientific contribution only, ultimately the light was generated in the village, right? Now, similarly, we can just go for the parallel to part only, that when Mohan returned to the village, and after that he has find out that what should be done. Similarly, when you are coming to the research area, what you have to do. Suppose we are taking the one example that you are working in the field of the environmental biotechnology. So you can find out that a lot of work is already done in the environmental biotechnology. For example, a lot of work is wastewater treatment is done. Rural villages are still suffering from the problem. And this study aims to the cost-effective bio-waste filtration system using the microalgae to remove the heavy metals and the pollutant. So I'll take a simple example that near the Junagadh, we are having the one village, one place which is known as the Jaipur. And you must have seen that in the Jaipur, that is a lot of dye problem is there. When we have done our MSc dissertation, at that time also we have written that we'll be solving the problem of the Jaipur dye. But even after the 30 years, nobody is able to solve that. Similarly, you can find out that even from the other part of the Gujarat, a lot of people are working in the field of the dye degradation. But even today, you can find out that the dye degradation problem is not completely solved. So you have to first of all map out entire thing, and after that you have to find out that what should be done in your work, right? So you have to find out the real keyword problem that will require the scientific investigation, and after that you have to explain that why your problem is important, how the research can be provide a solution to that, right? Now, suppose you want to understand the background or the literature review and justification part, then you can see that in the case of this Swades, Mohan has not directly jumped in the problem, because you find out that whenever you are just getting enter in the solving of the problem, you have to just meet with the villagers, you have to understand the struggle, and you have to analyze the solution before designing your own approach. So that is always required in the field of the research also, that when you are starting your research work, at least you have to see that what other people has already done, which is reported in the literature. You have to find out that what things are already done, and from that what things is failed, and what are the things which you should avoid. And from that only you can find out that which thing should be done in a more part of that. So suppose we are taking the example of that, that previous studies has explored that the chemical based filtration of the wastewater treatment, but that will remain expensive and unsustainable. So this study aims to develop a nature based filtration approach for using the biodegradable material and the microalgae. For example, you can see that a lot of research work has already done the Jaipur dye degradation project. People have gone for producing the so many different kind of the Pseudomonas species. But when you are applying in the field, you can find out that it is not able to grow. You have to supplement the glucose or other kind of the material, and that is not feasible in the field. So now your problem start with the ending of the problem of the other research work. So you have to find out a solution for that. And for that only you are just projecting that you will be using the microalgae, and this microalgae is having the capacity to go for the photosynthesis. So it will come like that, this photosynthesis will solve the problem of natural growth of the algae in the field. So that way you have to frame your problem in an initial stage, right? So after that, again finding this only, you have to go for the research question and research hypothesis. So again we'll have the more example of that only, but you have to just correlate the entire journey in a similar pattern, right? And then you have to go for the finding the methodology. So this section we'll be discussing in the next part only. So facing the challenge is a very common thing in the research. So you can see the scene in this Swadesh. The Mohan faces the resistance from the villagers. They will doubt about your idea. Resources are limited, and after that you have to find out that how to overcome that challenges, and then you can just go for find out the limitation, and you have to also go for the funding limitation solutions and even experimental challenges. And the researcher approach would be a strong researcher acknowledge this limitation and propose the solution. So when you are coming to your guide, you should not come with the list of all the problems only, and the guide is not the person who will solve all the problems of your. So you have to find out the different solution. You have to go to your guide with the problem with 2 3 approachable solution, and guide will help you to find out that out of all 3 4 suggested solution, which solution would be better. So that is the way it should be coming out. And then again you have to write down the expected outcome contribution other, so that will be just taking at the last one, right? So that is the first part. Now the second part is coming, that when you are entering in the field of the research, your thinking pattern should be getting changed from the traditional kind of the thing. So that is the thing which will be starting from this part. So you can see the simple example. You can see in this that there is a one simple case I'm telling, that there is one grandfather who was engineer, and he has gone to the village with his grandson. What happened is that his grandson has seen somewhere something like swing, like Jula Ju and a Gamma Ju. And after that, he came to his engineer grandfather, and he has explained in that limited knowledge capacity, whatever he was having. And depending upon that thing only, the engineer thought that I'll be able to create the same. So he has just started developing the different kind of the design. For example, you can see that in this he has kept the 3 kind of the steps. So many design he has developed. But at all time, you can see that whatever the grandson was there, she or he was not happy with the design, right? So even at the end, the engineer is also getting frustrated, and then he is going along with the grandson to the place where he has actually seen the swing on. So then he realized that his grandson has seen only one tree where only one tire was hanging over there, and the children were getting the swing on this side. So you can see that whatever the design actually the grandson was wanting, that was quite simple. He was in search of only a tire like swing, but as an engineer he has developed so many different kind of the solution. So that is basically known as the design paradox. So actually what you are designing or whatever you are doing, actually that is not the actual need of the user. And that is the major problem in the case of the PhD also, that when you are completing the entire PhD and after that when you are defending your Viva, at that time you can see that whatever the external Vivas referees are there, that will give the totally a different kind of the perspective, and you will be finding it very difficult to define your problems in other. So the first thing what you have to do is you have to design thinking, you have to develop the design thinking, and by this way you can just able to do your PhD research work in a more better. So for that, first of all, you should understand that what the design thinking is. So basically we can see that always the thinking process start in the brain. In our brain we are having the 2 part. One is the left brain and one is the right. The left brain is basically an analytical, rational, objective, that will think about the present and past, and that will go for the order and pattern, and that will require more kind of the planning. Suppose you are coming to the right brain, and you can see that the right brain is quite creative, holistic, subjective. It will be having the present and future, and that would be having the feelings, and that will also having some kind of the spiritual and spontaneous kind of the response on. And always in each person you will be having the both kind of the thinking pattern, but depending upon your training and depending upon your nature, you can find out that in some cases you'll be using the left brain more, and in some cases you are using the right brain more. You can see that whatever the creative persons are there, the person who are designing the different kind of the design, fashion designer or other, the person like the engineers and other, they're using their right brain more. But suppose you are coming to the person who are doing a repeated task, they'll be using the left brain more. So whenever you are just drafting your proposal, you have to think that you are thinking from which part of your brain. And according to only you have to find out that always you have to use the mixture of both of these things, right? So design thinking use the both side of the brain to solve the problem. It will not use only the one part, because you have seen earlier that you can see that in this design paradox, the engineer has taken only the which kind of the brain. He has used only the right brain. He has gone for the creative, holistic, so many things he have done. But at the same time, suppose he are using the left brain, then he'll find out that first of all you have to find that what his grandson has shown actually, and from that suppose he has gone, then it would be quite easy for him to create the solution. So now we are going further, that how to go for the design thinking. So basically design thinking is a human-centered approach. So even though it is working with the science, ultimately all the science is done to help the human being only. So no matter you are in the biology, you are in a chemistry, you are in a computer or any other field, but you can say that ultimately all the discoveries are created to create some kind of the feasibility where the humans can utilize the entire product. So your product should be human-centered in nature. So the basic approach is to find out the human-centered things. When you are coming to the human-centered approach, you can see that always there will be the unmet need and wants. So humans are always having a different kind of the need. Suppose you are talking about yourself only, then when you started using the mobile, earlier you might have taken a simple mobile, but after that as your requirement is getting increased and as per your need, you are just upgrading your mobile only. Similar to that, it will also encourage the creative concentration, and it will also give the innovative solutions. And it is a mindset, and it is not a process which is remain always the stagnant. So that will be a process which is getting continuously changed. So that is the way you have to go further. So this is the history of the design thinking. So we are not going in much part of the design thinking in the history. But this is a famous quote that design must reflect the practical and aesthetic in the business, but above all, good design must preliminary serve the people. So whatever your design is there, ultimately that is to serve the people only. So when you are designing your research proposal, you should keep in mind that at some stage that would be also having the some value of the business. At the same time, that should also have the some value to serve the people only, right? So now we are just compare that what is a traditional and the traditional thinker is thinking. So suppose you are taking the mindset of the traditional thinker, then that will just start like this. We have this problem, let us jump in, get in the room and brainstorm the solution. We have the this technology and what we can use it for, and our competitor has just launched X, how we can do X very quickly. So that is normally happening with you also, that when you are just finding the research problem, immediately you want to work on that, or you are just copying the research problem with somebody else, that somebody has done something with the one plant, so we'll be trying to replicate with the another plant on. So that is a normal mindset of the traditional thinker. Now when we are coming to the traditional thinker to the design thinker, then you can see the difference between both of this. So the traditional thinker, it will ask for the lot of reports and documentation. It will have the scared of the failing. It will have the certainty is a key, focus on the solution and get it perfect at the first time. And that will always talk about his own ideas only. So that is also happening, that whenever you are just presenting yourself in your RSA, you can think that even your guide is giving some different kind of the suggestion. Even your research advisor is coming to asking you to include some new objectives. Always you are trying to defend it. So why it is that? Because your thinking pattern is traditional, and due to that only you are just freezing with that part only. But suppose you are changing your mindset from the traditional thinker to the design thinking, then you will just show, you will not tell. You will learn from your failure, and you will not embrace the ambiguity, and you will focus on the human value, and you will go for the iterate. And this iterations is normally to repeat the things for so many things, and you will make your idea after the changing that part only, right? So this is a way by which it is going further. So we'll be just going for this way, that people are having the desire. Business is always require the viability, and even the technology that will require the feasibility. And when all of these three lanes are coming together, you will have the experience innovation. So you can see the typical example of the mobile, that you can see that in the case of the mobile, the most successful mobile is Apple. So why Apple is successful? Because Apple is serving for the people desirability, that is having the business viability also, and that is also technologically feasible and new technology. And due to that only, you will see that when the person is using the Apple phone, they will experience that there is some kind of the innovation in comparison to the normal Android phone or even the normal Microsoft kind of the phone. And that is the reason that even right now also the same function, even it can be done by the normal phone, people are paying more towards the Apple phone. So this is the impact of the design thinking. Now, how the design thinking can be utilized? So we'll take a very simple case study over there. That the Nike was the biggest company that has developed so many different kind of the shoes in the market, but at the same time they are not able to solve the problem of the such kind of the sky skipping kind of this shoes design only. So you can see that the normally children are doing the ski. So that is a small ski board, and on that only you have to wear the shoes, and after that it should be done. So after that, the company has developed a simple approach. Instead of working on the design directly, they meet all these children who are just doing such kind of these sports. And after that, they've redesigned everything, and that entire product was quite successful. So that is the way that it is going forward, right? So design is not what it look like or feel like. Design is how it is work, right? So design is not nothing which is visible, but that is also how it is work. So now we are coming to the design thinking for a research proposal or for the research students. So how it is working. So technically we have to see that what are the different steps of the design thinking. So basically the design thinking is having the 5 different steps. So we are starting with the very first step. The very first step of the design thinking, that is known as the empathize. So that is empathize a process which we'll understand with a simple example. That for example, in your class right now, anybody is having some kind of the fracture in the head, right? And after that, suppose he is coming in the class and everybody is talking with him. So they will tell something that, okay, you got accident and you met with this hand fracture. So you will be having the pain. So many things you'll be telling. So that is basically known as the sympathy. But suppose you are coming to the class and I'm coming in your class, then suppose I'm telling with that person, and suppose already I'm having the fracture in the hand. So when I'm talking with him, then what will be my tone? That okay, when you get the fracture, similarly before 2 years I was also having the fracture in my hand. I got operated, so this many drugs were given to me. For this many time I have to remain in the hospital. After coming to the hospital, the physiotherapy session I have to take, and after this only today now my entire hand fracture is solved. So what happened in my discussion is I'm just sharing my entire experience to with that student who is having the accidental features, right? And due to that only, the student would be quite comfortable when he's speaking with me. So that is the first step, which is known as the empathize. Now in the research, how you can empathize, that again we'll see with the, some kind of the example only. But basically that is talking with so many persons in the field, and after that find out that actually what the real problem is residing inside that. The second part after that, that is known as the define. So after finding the empathize or finding the entire research problem, you have to find out the definition, that how you can go for the different kind of the problem solving part. So basically you have to tell that what you want to solve. So that is coming in the part of the define. After defining the research problem, you have to go for the third part, that is known as the generate the multiple potential research approach. And for that, you can utilize the brainstorm, or you can use the multiple hypothesis research methodology. And we'll see some of the example that how the AI can be utilized for that. So basically, that is a process where to solve one problem, you are just finding out so many different kind of the solution. So the first step is to meeting with the person, or in the field of the science, go through the literature and find out that real problem which the persons are facing. So that is a stage which is known as the empathize. And after that, from all of that, you have to define the basic core research problem. Then you have to find out the different kind of the solutions for that. So that will come in the ideate stage. And then you have to develop the prototype. So prototype is a small research plan. So you have to do the small research work on that. And you have to see that out of 5 different kind of the idea, which idea would be more suitable for you. So that is known as the prototype. And the last one is that you have to study that whatever the prototype you have developed, that should be tested also. So that is basically known as the test. So these are the 5 different steps of the research design process. Now again, suppose you are going for the research design with the help of the AI. So you can just have the different kind of the example. So just see the simple example over here. That suppose I want to work with the help of the computer, that AI driven drug discovery I want to work. So what I have to emphasize for this is I have to identify that what is a patient need in the disease treatment. What I have to define is understand the drug resistance mechanism. What I have to do in the case of the ideate is brainstorm the drug target and computational models. And the prototype, what I have to do is I have to run the small in silico simulation and other. And in the final test, I have to refine the model based upon the lab validation. So like that only it will go for the different kind of the aspects. So I'll be not reading all of this, but this is a way by which you can just go in a first part only, right? So suppose you are taking the common thing in the research problem setting. So common mistake is skipping the stakeholders feedback. So normally we are taking the stakeholders feedback at the end on. Normally you can see that whenever you are submitting the research proposal, for example, normally if you are just having the research proposal in the biofertilizer, then always we can see that people are reading that they will go for the searching the novel kind of the isolate from the field. They will go for the lab work, and after the lab work, they will go for the post study, and in the last only they will add that they will just go for the commercialization of that. But in the entire process, they have not started the taking the feedback from the customer or the farmer, right? So the first part on this is you have to just go for the conduct the interview surveys, and you have to go for the expert consultation. So you can use the AI to conduct the survey. You can use the AI as an expert for the consultation of that only. Then again, suppose the people are going for the outdated method, that you are just going for the normal method for literature search and other. So you have to use the AI on a novel methodology to refine your research. And again, you have to keep the it specific and even the management, right? And you will be just conducting a small pilot study. So that will revise your plan accordingly, right? So you will have this experience also, because right now I think you everybody must have already prepared your synopsis. Your research title would be ready. Your research objective and even the methodology will be also ready. But at the end of this, if you are using the AI, you can revise your entire research topic, whatever you are doing, right? So we'll be just taking even few example of this design thinking. So I'll be not doing that, because I came to know that even this lot of chemistry and even the computer people are also that. So basically I've taken the example of the botany, zoology, and even I've taken the example of the microbiology in that, and even I've taken the example of the biotechnology. So we'll be discussing the only the example of the biotechnology, because that will be just common for all of this, right? So right now, suppose you are going for the gene therapy of the cancer, then you can see that that is a discipline which is covering the multidisciplinary kind of things. So CRISPR is a novel technique which can be utilized for the genome editing. So first of all, you have to emphasize that what is the current cancer therapy and what are the side effects of that. And the gene mutation driven tumor progression is always happening. So suppose you are a student of the chemistry, then you can just work on the aspect from the chemical side only, that you will be finding some kind of the novel chemical that can be utilized as a therapy. But you can find out that whenever you're creating the chemical as a therapy, always that will have the side effect. So you can have some biotechnology with you, and when the biotechnologies is there, you can just check both of these things together on. So that would be the first part of the empathize. After empathize only in the define, you can see that now the newer technique like the CRISPR-Cas9 is coming, and that is having the ability to edit the genome at a specific part only. So you can now just go for the approach that instead of creating the new chemicals with the help of the biotechnologist, you want to target the oncogenic genes in the cancer cell, and you want to go for the different kind of the cancer CRISPR-Cas9 based editing to that. So that is your definition, that now you want to solve the problem by not finding the new chemicals, but you are finding the new solution from the cancer cell itself. So after that, the next part is coming, that is known as the ideate. In the case of the ideate, what will happen? You have to go for the hypothesis that CRISPR can go for the silencing the oncogene, that can reduce the tumor, and that will go for the so other kind of thing. So you can create 4 or 5 different kind of the idea. From that, you can create the prototype, and then you can just go for the test studies of that, right? So this is the simple example of that. Now, suppose you are going to the chemical science, then you can see that in the case of the chemical science, now people are talking more about the green chemistry. So first of all, you have to emphasize that what the green chemistry is there for the chemical industry. So the chemical industry produces the hazardous waste, and there is always a need of the eco-friendly catalyst in the industrial synthesis process. So that will come in the empathizer. Then the next part is that how to go for the different parts. So suppose you want to go for the definition of that. So you are defining a problem in a more multidisciplinary way. So you want to find out that the nano-based catalyst can be improved for the reaction efficiency, and that can reduce the waste. So over here, what you have done, you have combined the two approaches together. One, you want to go for the chemical industry problem. you want to reduce the hazardous waste. So for that, you can utilize some kind of the catalyst or some kind of the enzyme. So that will increase the speed of the reaction. But at the same time, you can find out that even though we are using the enzyme, it is not commercially viable, because the commercial production of that requires the reduced cost. So only using the catalyst is not enough, but you have to increase the speed of the reaction. So now you can see that with the help of the nanotechnology, you can increase the surface area more. So now we are just going for using the enzyme with the help of the nanotechnology. Then it might happen that your entire solution will become even commercially viable. So that is coming in the case of the define. When you are coming to the ideate, then what will happen? You have to develop your own hypothesis. So you have to go for the bio-inspired catalysis and enhanced reaction. So that will have the minimal byproduct, and that will explore the metal organic framework as a catalyst alternative. So this is the way you can just find out the different kind of the alternative, and then you can just develop this small prototype, and even you can go for the testing of this. So why this is important? Because right now you can see that in your university also the SSIP grant is there. And suppose you want to use your project for getting the grant for the SSIP, then you have to go from the entire part. And you can see that they're asking for the proof of concept. So you have to go for this 3-step, and you have to develop the prototype, and you have to test it on. So the grant would be given for you to create the prototype and test. But to produce that kind of the research proposal, at least you have your empathize stage completed, define stage completed, and you should also have the idea stage completed. And you should come with 3-4 different kind of the idea. And suppose you are giving this proposal to the SSIP, then they will give you the money by which you can just develop the prototype and you can develop the test. So not only for your PhD, but even to get the grant from the research funding agency like the SSIP, you should know this entire process in much detail. Now these are the common pitfalls in the research proposal development. So that already we have discussed, so we are not discussing much about that. Right? Now we are coming to this part, that how the AI can be integrated in the research proposal part only. So that would be just coming in this part only. Now again, before going further, we have to understand that why we are talking more about the research which is coming with the help of the AI. So for that, you have to understand the generation of the AI. So this is a typical example of the biological science. So I'm skipping that only. But normally you can see that in the field of the biology, first of all, we have just linked everything, that we are just searching everything in the in vivo. After getting the lot of data of the in vivo, normally people are going for the drug discovery approach. So in the drug discovery, what is happening? We are just finding some kind of the drug that is given to the animal, and from the animal effect only, you are just going for the preclinical study, and then it will be going in the clinical study, and you are getting something. So that is the example of the in vivo science. Similarly, you can have also the lot of in vitro experiment also. For example, in the case of the COVID-19, when the COVID-19 has came, people want to work on the COVID-19, but at that time it is very difficult to go for the in vivo exercise of the COVID-19, because that is the lethal kind of the virus. So suppose you are injecting to the human being, then that will be getting died off. So in that case, you can use the in vitro experiment. You can create the cell line. Now on the cell line only, you can synthesize some novel compound in the chemistry lab, and that you can check in the cell line or some kind of the enzyme assay, and you can check that your enzyme is working or not. So that is the second kind of the thing, which is known as the in vitro. After getting the lot of information from the in vitro and in vivo science, people initially kept the information on the paper. Then they've started storing the information inside the computer, and after that they've sharing the information on the internet, and they're just sharing the entire thing. And that has created the third phase of the science, which is known as the in silico science, where with the help of the computers, we are defining so many things inside the computer. And by doing that only, as in the field of the biology, we are using bioinformatics. Same way, chemical people, they are using the chemoinformatics, and they can do a lot of things inside the computer only. So that was the era where the computer was utilized also as a tool. Now, after the ending of this 21st century, you'll be having the AI as a new frontier in the science. So now you can see that in your studies now, AI is also getting integrated. So with the help of the AI, you can just go for the integration of the AI at the stage of the data analysis. So you can use the AI to find out and analyze the thousands of the data set. You can also go for the collaboration with the different kind of the field, and even you can go for the personalized medicine, and even you can just have the so many new examples. So now AI has changed the entire. So now first of all, simply we'll understand that what the AI is. So simply, for example, right now I'm asking you that there will be rain outside or not. So definitely you can tell that there will not be rain outside because it is a month of January, and in the January there will not be rain. But suppose you are suppose I'm asking the same question in the month of the July, then what will happen? You will see outside, and depending upon the intensity of the sunlight, depending upon the cloud and humidity, you will tell that there will be rain outside or not. So that is the way by which entire prediction is done. So that is the way normal our brain is thinking. So that is known as the thinking and prediction pattern. Now suppose I'm closing the room in a similar manner. I'm asking you again a same question, but I'm not allowing you to see outside. So you're not allowed to see that outside sun is there, outside cloud is there or not, what is the humidity and everything. And I'm asking the same question. So what you can do is that somebody is coming in the room, then you can observe the person. That if the person is coming with the glass, and the glass is sunglass and which is black in color, so indirectly you can tell that due to that glass which is having the black in color, outside the sunlight is quite bright, so there will not be possibilities of the rain in a very short time. So like that only, these are known as the indirect observations. So these are not the directly observable, but these are the indirect pattern. Depending upon that only, you are telling that there will be rain or not, right? So same way, this kind of the things are known as the neural network. So we are training the basic computer for a lot of input data, with which your entire data and output is already known, and computer will analyze all this input data, and from that only it will create some kind of the model. And by utilizing that model only, after that when you are giving something to the computer, it will be able to predict the things. So this is the way by which AI is normally working. In the next lecture we'll be going into much detail of the AI. Now we are coming to the AI and this stage for this first lecture, that in this case, basically at the end of this lecture, I want you to use the AI for redefining your research problem and redefining your objective only. So right now we are focusing only on the first part only, that normally whenever you are going for the AI, always you have to use the prompting, right? So prompting everybody is using. I think everybody is using the Chat GPT, Gemini. Some tools are everybody using only. So we are not going in the much detail part of that. But whatever the prompting we are doing, that prompting should be also scientifically known. So there are the different kind of the prompting. One simple kind of the prompting is which is known as the direct prompting. So the direct prompting is a simple kind of the question which you are giving, right? So the example of that, you are just simply writing that what is the process of photosynthesis, and direct response you are getting from the photosynthesis process which is coming out from the AI directly, right? So this is a basic direct prompting. Same way you can also have the zero shot prompting. We are not going in much detail of that, but these are the different kind of the prompting which is normally done. But we'll be just going for the prompting which is normally utilized as a universal prompting, right? So we'll be just going for the pattern of the prompting, that how universally you can just go for the prompt. So basically, whenever you want to go for the universal kind of the prompting, you can have the basically four part of that. First part is that you have to identify the task. So clearly you have to define the task that you what you want from the AI. Then you have to give the context and background, that what kind of the relevant context and background information you want to have. Then you have to tell that what is a specific request, and by specific request only you can just tell that what clear output should be coming. And again you have to tell that what kind of the constraint and conditions are there, right? So these are the four part of that. So again scientifically we'll learn that also, right? So what you can tell to that is, you can also tell that what desired output should come. It should come in the form of the list, it should come in the form of some kind of the paragraph, or it should come in the form of the summary. Or if you want to generate some kind of the computer software, then you can also tell that what code should be coming out from that, right? So this kind of the output also you can, right? When you are keeping everything together, that will create the entire prompting for you, right? So we'll be just taking more detail of that only. But before that, we'll be just taking some of the less common kind of the tool. I'm not taking the Gemini and ChatGPT because that already everybody is using much. So we'll be not using that right now, but we'll be just using some of the less common tool, but that is quite important from the scientific research that we're taking. And after that, we'll be just taking that how the prompting can be done. So first example we are doing is, one example is there which is known as the Research Rabbit. So the Research Rabbit is a tool which is working with the help of the AI, that can be utilized for the personalized research, and that is quite efficient in the literature search. How it is working? So that is working in this mode only. We'll be taking the screenshot of that one. So you have to create simply your login. So that is free up to certain prompts. So you can create your login. After that, such kind of the common window is coming, and in that only you have to just add your query. And after adding the query only, you can get the output from that. So you can see that when you are adding some kind of the query, it will find out the literature similar to that, and whatever the literature which you are getting in that also, it will build the different kind of the network. So you can see that this network is created. So this network is telling that what are the common authors in that, what are the common keyword of this is there, and how the research is cited by the other, and how the research is getting relations, right? So this kind of thing is not coming in a normal kind of research. So you'll be getting the entire network. This network can be searched with the first author, with the keyword, with the output. So many kind of the things is there by which you can analyze your research work. So this is basically a one kind of the technique which can be utilized. Secondly, after that, one more tool is there which is also less common but quite effective. So which is known as the cloud. And this cloud can be also utilized for the same purpose. So in the cloud also you can utilize it for the finding the emerging trend, ethical framework, and even for the human AI part on it, right? So this cloud is also working in a similar pattern only, but we'll be just using the much more common tool which is utilized for the literature survey. So for the literature survey, the SciSpace is commonly utilized. So again, we'll be just taking the SciSpace part. So I think some of you must have used the SciSpace also. So the SciSpace is working like this. So it will be having the window where you can put some kind of the question. So now again over here, what is coming? You cannot give the direct topic over here. You have to give the question in this parcel, right? So in the after this, again, we'll see that how to draft the question for this. Initially, you can put something in a sentence form that will also suggest that what kind of the question will come out, right? So after giving this question only, it will give the answer from the top 10 papers, and that answer can be converted even in the table form. So suppose you are going online, then you can find out that whatever the 10 papers are coming, from that manually you can create the table. That will take longer time, but this SciSpace, depending upon your criteria, automatically it will create the tables from, right? So this is a way by which you can find out that what are the details in each one of this. You can also go in much detail about the one paper. So you can just opening the one paper, then you can find out that what are the different questions you can ask. So these are the simple questions. So instead of reading the entire paper, you can just tell that generates the summary of this paper. So that will generate the summary. Suppose you are only interested in the result of this paper, then you can find out that what is the result with this simple question only. And again, you can just go for the searching that will explain the practical limitation of this paper. So that will also give the answer, right? So this is like talking with some person who has already read the paper, and depending on your question, it is answering the paper. And it is like that you are talking to the real author who has created the paper. So that is the advantage of this method, that you can have the in-depth analysis of this paper, right? Similar to that, one more common tool is there, which is known as the consensus app. So this consensus app is also working in a similar part, but that is having some slightly different kind of the. So in this search, what is happening? Suppose I'm keeping some kind of the search string. So after getting this search string only, I'm just getting some kind of the answer, that largest mangrove area in the world. So I can get the answer of detailed part of. And after that only, suppose you want to go further, then you can also see that what are the studies which are followed in your side and what are not following that, right? So consensus is basically for that only, that suppose you are finding that compound curcumin, it is working best in the cancer in your study. Now you want to see that what kind of the studies other have done. So in simple window, you can tell that the curcumin is working in a cancer cell, whatever you are telling. And after that, you can go for the searching. So that searching will tell that out of, for example, 10 papers, how many papers are supporting that curcumin is working and how many papers are not supporting. So that is like giving the what. So that kind of the analysis is done when you are using the consensus AI. Similar to that, perplexity AI is there. So that is also very common. So we are not going in detail of that, because right now it is coming free with the AI. So a lot of people are also using this AI, right? So these are the 3-4 different kind of the tools which people should use. Now, besides that, if you are an advanced learner, typically from the computer background, then you can utilize the advanced tool, which is known as the natural language processing tool. And typically, this natural language processing tool that can work for you. So that would be having the much more part of that. Right now, we are not going in detail of that. But if you are expert, then you can just go for the deep learning for that. So these are the different kind of the tool which is available freely. So you can have the NLTK. So that is available freely. Similarly, you can also have the SPICY, and typically for the biologist, we are having the BioBot, right? So if you are expert, then you can use the NLTK in the case of the computer science. But for the biology, you can utilize the BioBot, but that require again the some kind of the expertise of the computer. So we are not going much detail of that. But these are the few tools. If you are interested, then you can utilize for your research, right? So this is the advanced usage of that. Now, just we are coming to the next part, that at the end, you have to just go for the drafting the research aim and objective. So after this, I'll be just giving you the exercise that you are supposed to redefine your research problem and you have to redefine your research objective. So we are not going in the much detail of that part only. So that will do practically only, right? So this you can read at your part only. So after that, the next part is coming, that always you are just having the research hypothesis, and then again you will be having the different kind of the research question, right? So to understand this only, we'll be just taking the one full example. So first thing in the before the next lecture, what you are supposed to do is you have to use the AI tool, which I've just told right now, by using some kind of the prompt, which I'm showing over here, to find out the research problem. Now, the research problem is quite important to understand that what the research problem is. The research problem is basically a thing which you are supposed to work for, right? So for that only, you have to just go for the detailed analysis like this. So your learning objective is, we are using the strategic AI in this. We want to verify the literature collection. You want to find out the gap, and after that you have to also maintain the academic integrity, right? So first of all, suppose we are taking a simple example for the easy understanding, that we are taking a normal example, not the scientific one. We are just taking a simple thing, that you are living in a small village or a small town. For example, you are just residing in the Kesod, near to the Junagadh, right? And in the Kesod, you want to build the swimming pool. Now, whatever the municipal commissioner or whatever the collector is there, he is asking the justification for that. So scientifically, how you can justify your things, right? So suppose you are creating the proposal for finding the swimming pool, then what you will do in a normal case, you are just observing that in the case of there are 2-3 gardens, but there is no swimming pool. So swimming pool should be created. So that is a normal way by which you are writing the proposal, and after that you are just giving the proposal to the collector. So what would be your objective to the collector? That collector will find out that you want to create a swimming pool in the case of. In most of the cases, such kind of the proposal will get rejected. Now, suppose artificially or with the help of the artificial intelligence or with the normal kind of the more analytical way you want to do it, then what you can do is, instead of directly jumping in the swimming pool construction proposal, what you can do is you can analyze the data which is available in the village. You can go to the Kesod Civil Hospital if it is there. You can just get the data of the last 5 years or 10 years. Out of that 5 years and 10 years data, you can find out that what is the average person age of the death. Then you can find out that what are the death reasons, and you can find out something like that. For example, that you are finding that very young people around 40 or 45, they are getting died of due to the basically two reasons. One is the cancer and another is the heart attack, right? So what you are finding from this data is, you are finding that what is the age of the death, what is getting changed in the last 50 years, so that everything you can do. Suppose you want to do everything with the normal way, then that will require a lot of time. But suppose you're having the Excel data of all of this, and again you are using some kind of the AI tool, then it will find out that what could be the part of that. Secondly, suppose you want to go for the literature correction, so literature collection, so for that also you can utilize the techniques whatever you have discussed. Now after that, next part is that you have to go for the gap identification. So how to find out the gap in this, right? So we'll take the same example of the swimming pool example only, that you already find out that there are only 2 gardens in the city. So many people are getting died of due to the cancer and due to the heart attack. Now after that, you are just observing that what is the lifestyle of the current youth. So you find out that the current youth are not having any place where they can go for the recreation. So after their college, they're just sitting to the tobacco shop and they're just taking the different forms of the tobacco. So this is giving the two kind of the indications that when they are not having any other option, they are spending their time to the tobacco shop. As they are getting a lot of tobacco, they are increasing the risk of cancer in the future. Secondly, as they are not going for the recreation, they are sitting over there for 3 to 4 hours. They are having the lighter kind of the health activity. And due to that only, even though they are not taking the tobacco, but due to that stagnantness, their heart-related problems might be getting increased after 10 to 15 years only. So what you have done is you identify the gap in the city. In the city, already 2 gardens are there, but one garden is occupied by the children and one garden is, for example, occupied by the senior citizen. So now you can see the global picture of the entire village. So now what you can tell to collector is there is a 2 garden, but that is not sufficient. One is for the small children and one is for the senior person. Right now the youth is spending the time at the tobacco shop and other, as they are not having any kind of the challenging activity, and due to the novel kind of the trend of the media and other, if you are creating the swimming pool in the Keso, then what will happen? This youth will be getting attracted towards the swimming pool, and instead of wasting their time at the tobacco shop, they will just start the swimming activity. So when we're spending the time in the swimming, at some time of that, that will be taken as a health activity. At the same time, if they are not taking the tobacco at that time, that will help them to reduce the chances of the cancer. So what you have done is your basic aim is to create the swimming pool, but you've gone for the entire empathizing of the village problem. You've correlated with the different kind of the solutions, and then you identify the gap that if you are creating the swimming pool, that will solve the problem that after 10 to 15 years, there will be the reduction in the heart attack rate, and there will be also the reduction in the rate of the cancerous person, right? So that is the way, suppose you are giving the entire problem, then that will create the entire. So that is that way you have to go for the objective part. So how you have to use this? So never use the AI directly. You have to just use the AI in this way, that you have to design the effective search queries, you have to filter and ranking the verified result, and after that you have to analyze paper manually, and then you have to structure your thinking process only, right? So this is a way you have to do. So the verification requirement for all the papers are normal. You can find out on the Google Scholar, PubMed, or the Web of Science. You have to see that verifiable papers are there, the citations are there or not, and you are able to download the papers on that, right? So for that, systematically you have to do. So as we are running in short of the time, we'll be not taking the much example of this, but I'll be just giving the prompt, right? So what you're supposed to do is you have to copy paste this entire prompt. You can see that what is there in this prompt. So this is a prompt that will define the literature boundary. So this is first to give the literature boundary. So what you're writing is, I am a student of PhD student of life science. So you can change the field, chemical science, whatever it may be. So this is the first thing that you are introducing the AI what you are. My broader research area, you can in bracket, you can write down the research area, and my tentative subfield, that also you can write down as per your PhD topic. Then do not generate any research paper, title, author, only help me to identify the key biological concept, standard terminology, synonyms used in the literature, related subtopic. Output should be only the keyword and the phrases. So what you are doing is you are not directly telling that what should be done in this word, what should be the research paper, but instead of that, what we are asking is only the keyword and the phrases, right? So this is the first prompt that you have to do. So why this entire prompt is safe? So AI provide you only the terminology, conceptual framework. It will not fabricate the citation, and you will be giving the complete vocabulary, because when you are entering in the new field, you will be not knowing that what are the different kind of the vocabulary, and depending upon that only further query should be created. So that is the way it can be done. So the output becomes the foundation of your human conducted database search. So whatever the output coming from this, that again you can take as an input for the database search, which can be utilized for the further, right? So this is the first part, that is the define the literature boundary, right? So after that, the second part is that then you can just go for the search the real review papers. So this is the manual database search, right? So you require the Google Scholar, PubMed, or Web of Science over here, and after that you can just go for the entire searching. So this is a comparison of that. So this is a way manually, if you are not using the AI, you'll be right. Now we are coming to the second part, that you are constructing the prompt to construct high quality research string. So initially what we have done is we have taken only the keywords. Now AI will help you to design the sophisticated the search query, and this is the another search method. So you can see that you can utilize this part using the following keyword. Paste the keywords over here, create a file advanced search string which is suitable for the Google Scholar or the PubMed. Do not include the paper name. Use the Boolean operator, date, limit, and review focus phrasing. Right. So I'm not giving that what will come at the end of this that you are supposed to do as your exercise on. Now what we are doing is we have used the AI to find out the keywords, but we are not using the AI directly to find out the papers. What we have done over here is we have used the AI to create now search query, and this search query you will be using on the Google Scholar or you are using in the PubMed, or the same query you can utilize even in the SciSpace, whatever you've seen earlier. But these queries are coming from the basic AI, right? So the example of the AI output is cancer biomarker discovery and review and machine learning and 2015 to 2024. So what you have done over here is when you are writing and, it will happen that it will tell all the concept together. When we are writing some kind of the time limits, then what will happen? Out of all the papers, only the papers which are produced in the 2015 to 2024, that only would be taken. So that is the way it would be taken. So this is example of the operator and. Now suppose you want to add the or and add both. So what is the meaning of word or? Means you are taking the microbiome or the microbiome. So you can taking both together, right? And you can take also the end disease association and the systematic review. So this or is basically utilized to take the options at the same time, right? So that is the way it would be taken. So these are the few example of the prompt too. So you can change this prompt according to your own research project, right? So after that, you have to just go for the entire review. So you have to review the top 20 results. Then you have to go for the strict filtering. And after the filtering, again, you have to go further, right? Then you have to collect the top cited papers. So whatever the papers are coming from that, you have to just rank their cited. And you can just collect, right now we are taking a simple example. So we'll be selecting 10 to 15 minimum review papers, or we are taking the 5 plus top cited review papers for this, right? So this is the way it can be done. Now we are coming to the third part. So that is the ranking paper without the hallucination, right? So what we are doing is I have manually collected the following review papers with the citation count. I will paste in the table. Do not modify any paper, only help me the rank the influence and group them the thematic focus and identify what are the fundamentals and what are the recent one of this. So what you are doing is already the papers which are coming to you, you are just using the AI as a analyzer. You are not using AI as a generator. Normally we are doing the chat GPT directly without all this thing. Then what will happen? Analyzer will chat GPT would be working as an analyzer. It is working as a generator only, and it will give some kind of the output, and that direct output will not be a real scientific, because in that lot of hallucination would be there. Hallucination means ભ્રમ, ગુજરાતીમાં જેને આપણે ભ્રમ કહીએ ને. So chat GPT is quite simple. Always it is giving the response which you like. That response might not be right also. So that to avoid that, only this entire system would be done. So you have to use the AI as a analyzer over here, right? So again, that will be just taking the deep reading, and gap extraction would be there. Then the next step is coming, that is the prompt 4. So you have to gap mapping from the real paper. So whatever the best paper you get from this, you have to give this paper in a full PDF form to the prompt. After that, only you have to write down that I will paste the key points extracted from me from the following review papers. Do not invent the gap. Do not cite the new papers. Based upon only the pasted content, list out the unresolved question. So don't tell ChatGPT or the AI to find out the gap. You just tell that whatever the papers are given, from that paper only list out the unresolved question, because that is already the paper which is written by some person. So that would be the real human brain work on. Then identify the contradictory or weakness of the evidences. So you can see that whatever the best paper is there, in that also some contradiction or some limitations also is there. So that also you are identifying with the help of the AI. And after that, now you tell that suggest the type of the research problem, mechanic, translation, or methodologically, and wait for my inputs on. So this a thing by which you are just telling the AI to do the limited things. So this will be your prompt 4. So this will be your cross paper gap analysis. So that you are supposed to do. Then your prompt 5 would be the pattern detection across the reviews, right? So this will pass and summarize the gap from the multiple review papers. So do not add new literature. Do not generate citation. Your task is to identify the reoccurring unsolved themes, highlight the contradiction across the review, and point out the areas that are repeatedly mentioned but not solved. And output should be there in a bulleted form. So this will go for the entire process, and you will just find out a specific part of that. So I have not given the output which will come out from that. That you should do at your own only, right? Now after that, whatever the things are coming, that you will also go for the process, they validate the research novelty. So whatever the promising gap and everything you find out, you can generate a one paragraph from that, and then you can tell that these things are novel or not. So this is known as the novelty stress test. So what you can do is, this is my proposed research question, and you can write down the detailed research question, whatever you synthesize from this, and based upon the common research pattern, you have to find out that is these questions are likely saturated or it is emerging. What are the aspects could make it genuinely novel, and what would be the examiner likely challenging, right? So this thing would be done by the AI, and AI will find out that whatever the research problem you have created, that is having any kind of the novelty or not, right? So finally, after end of the entire exercise, what will come to you is, you will find out that what are the most cited literature collection. You will find out the 10 to 15 literature cited paper. You have to find out the AI guided research gap analysis, and even you have to find out the one or two research problem statement, and whatever the research problem statement is there, that could be also validated with this, right? So this is a way by which you can just do the exercise for defining the research problem. Similar to that, I will not go in much detail, but I will just go rapidly and I will just share it with you how to use the AI for drafting the research objectives. So we have just created the research problem. Now after getting the research problem only, you have to go for the creating of the research objective. So what you have to do is, you have to paste your drafted research problem statement. Do not overwrite it, do not add new idea, do not suggest objective yet. Your task is to check that problem statement is clear, specific or not, identify the vague phrase, point out the missing logical link, and suggest the any clarification. So this is only the first kind of the checking your research problem. Then after that, understanding the research objective type, then you can tell that what kind of the research objective you want to take. So you can see that lot of different kind of the research objectives are there. The exploratory research is there, that will discover the pattern. Descriptive, that will go for the characterize. Analyze, that will find out the relation. Predictive, it will go for some kind of the forecasting. And validation, that would be just checking the existing hypothesis and others. So depending upon your research, you have to find out that what the kind of the objective type is matching with this, and depending upon that only you have to create this second kind of the prompt. Then again you can come to the next part. You have to go for the prompt 3, aim precision test. So you just develop the entire research aim for this, and you have to go for the analysis of that. Then breaking the aim into the objective, so you can utilize this prompt, and at the end only you can just have the examiner's lens. So whatever the objective you are getting from that, you are again going for the rewrite of this, right? So you have to rewrite of this. So that is the way it can be done, right? So this is a process you are supposed to do by using this prompt on your ChatGPT tool, whatever is available, ChatGPT, or even you can do it with the help of the Gemini also, right? So with this way, at least we have taken the entire view of the basic identifying the research problem. But before going closing this only, I'll be just giving you the few characteristics of the research problem that already we have discussed. So I think that much is enough for you. But in the next lecture, when you are coming, at least you should be able to complete the basic exercise of the AI. In the next lecture, we will just see that what kind of the research proposal you improved with the help of the AI, and then we'll be just using the AI, that how to use the AI for using for the methodology search, or even for the data analysis and others. So this is all from my side. If you are in any question, you can ask right now. So I'll be just trying to help you out. So we'll be just keeping in such a way that in the next lecture, whenever you are coming, you should come with the solution of the all the basic things, whatever I have told. So now you can just give the response in the chat. If it is possible, I will try to answer it. So I think you are able to give the comment only in the chat only, no, not the direct thing is there. So if anybody is having any question, you can tell me so I can able to answer it right now only. So if no questions are there, it is fine. You can just go through the entire presentation again. I'll be sharing the PPT with you. And from that, your task is to redefine your research problem and redefine your research objective. In the next lecture, we'll go further. So with this, I'm ending my session. If any other queries are there, then we can contact later on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.